Part of the Home Performance with Energy Star standard says that yes, energy efficiency is important, but it's even more important to test for health and safety issues. We're testing for things like gas leaks, dangerous carbon monoxide levels, and to make sure that there's no flue gases coming back into the house. The main reason why we're testing is that if we do any work on the house, we want to make sure that the occupants are not in any danger from us doing any air sealing or insulation work. We'll test before, we'll do the work, and then we'll test afterwards again to make sure that none of these issues happen either before we do the work or again after we do the work. The very first test that we're doing is a gas leak detection test. With this gauge, we'll test every single gas connection valve to make sure there's no leaks. If this signals a leak, we'll fix it or we'll run a new flexible gas line as a health and safety concern. After the gas leak detection test, what we're doing is creating a worst case depressurization zone. The reason for doing that is that if we leave this house and the occupant turns on things like bathroom fans or kitchen range vents or uses a wood burning fireplace, all these things create more of a negative zone in this basement, and the more negative it is, the more of a chance that these flue gases can come back into the house. So we're testing to make sure that that's not a possibility by creating this worst case depressurization, opening and closing doors, turning on bathroom fans, turning on exhaust fans, we're turning on the furnace blower to see the worst negative pressure we can create in the basement. Once we have the most negative zone in the basement, then that's what we're going to use to test the rest of the equipment. We're going to test first and foremost for spillage. And all spillage is telling us is, are these flue gases correctly venting outside or are they spilling back inside? The smoke pen will enable us to tell easily if the smoke is drafting out the range hood or if the smoke is drafting back in the house. To correctly test for this, we'll leave the smoke running for 60 seconds. If it stops spilling within 60 seconds, we pass and move on. The next test that we're looking for is the draft test. We're using this macromanometer and a gauge here to test the furnace flue to see how strong we're venting these flue gases outside of the building shell. And for BPI standards, it depends on the inside and outside temperature changes to pass or fail this draft test. What we're really trying to find out is that are these flue gases being drafted forcefully enough outside of the building shell. If we pass this, we move on. If we fail, then we do some further investigation. It could be something as simple as a bird's nest in the chimney that we should get checked out, but what we're really doing is making sure that there's a strong negative draft that's expelling these flue gases outside of the building shell. Once we've done the draft test and passed that, we're going to focus on carbon monoxide and efficiency testing. And with this gauge, sticking this flue pipe into the flue, then we can discover how much carbon monoxide that unit is putting off and also test for the efficiency. With carbon monoxide, it's a silent killer, so we really want to be careful and make sure that there's not dangerous levels of carbon monoxide coming back out. Anything more than 25 parts per million, we're at least recommending a service. If you go above 100 parts per million, then we need to turn off the unit and have it serviced immediately. If it's an even bigger issue, then we might be looking at replacing the unit. The same device will show us the efficiency. We quite literally scroll through this. After a few minutes, when the flue gases are 300 degrees or higher, it will tell us exactly the efficiency of that unit. Essentially, carbon monoxide is the offset of incomplete combustion. So typically, the higher the carbon monoxide levels, the lower the efficiency. These gas water heaters, typically they're between 70% and 85% efficient. And this gauge will literally quite tell us the exact efficiency of this unit. For the BPI standards for home performance with Energy Star, we're testing health and safety, especially on any type of gas atmospherically venting appliances. We've already tested the water heater, and now we'll recreate the same testing on the furnace. We'll test for spillage, we'll test for draft, we'll test for CO, and then we'll also test efficiency. If we pass all of those tests, then we get to move on for what the homeowner wants us here for, which is energy saving measures and improvements to the home. But again, we really want to make sure that there's no chance of any health and safety aspects on either the gas water heater or the gas furnace before we start recommending any type of air sealing or insulation measures.